guys, I'm just on a quick lunch break and wanted to set you up to really get you going with what it means to go deeper in this. And so last night I posted a quick PDF for Philippians 4 and just kind of some instructions. And so I think for me, you guys can disagree, we can do it a different way, but really to understand what kind of how to read scripture, how to study scripture, and then from there we can kind of go into whatever we want and chase down some trails. But there's kind of some rules of engagement of Bible study that we need to look at first. So the first thing you want to do, let's look at Philippians. You're going to want to read through Philippians. I have it in front of me. It's not very long. It's 4 chapters. You can get through it. You want to read it in one sitting. Read it rather quickly. And then from there, kind of assess, hey, what's happening in this, from what you can pull from it, what is happening in this, who's writing it, where are they hopefully writing from, and for what purpose are they writing it. Keep in mind that's kind of what you're going to ask yourself every time you come into this text, because a majority of the people during this time that it was written were illiterate. Writing was expensive, so why would they take time to write down what they had to say? So in the case of Philippians, if you've read it, Philippians is a letter that Paul has written. He's in prison and he's writing to the church at Philippi, and he's in North Macedonia area, and he's writing to them to thank them for giving money to him to partner with him in ministry. And so it's one of the rare letters we have from Paul where he's not correcting anything. There's not something messed up in Philippi that he's trying to fix. He's really just encouraging them. So we have a lot of coffee cup verses from that. I actually have on the inside of my arms, "For me to live as Christ and to die as gain." And that's from Philippians. And so Philippians 1:21. And so what we can do after we've read a whole verse, we can really start to get the context of what the verse is about. And so I had said last night that we never want to read just a Bible verse. We always want to read a Bible paragraph. So let's just look real quick at Philippians 4, verse 13. And so mine says, "I can do everything through him who gives me strength." And so the question we want to ask is, can I really do everything, or does it have limitations to it? And so what is Paul referring to here? Can I do all things? So is this really what Paul's trying to say? Is this motivational? Here's the question that we're trying to ask. So the English Standard Version will have a different way of reading this. It says, "I can do all things through him who strengthens me." One of the NIV translations, they updated it recently in 2011, but it says, I can do all this through him who gives me strength. So again, read through the entire book, then try to figure out what the author's intent is, and we want to follow these steps. So we want to identify the genre of it, and we can talk, I'll do another video where we can talk about what genre is, but this is a letter or a prison epistle. All right. And then when we read it, kind of that PDF that we have, it says, what is the generic or intrinsic conception? Basically, what do I think this is about? This is about Paul sending money to Paul writing a thank you letter for this. And then we're making observations where Philippi is, what's going on inside of this. Any kind of resources, I can introduce you guys to some resources. You can find this as you dig deeper. Again, we're going deeper. This isn't just cursory reading or just reading just to edify ourselves and get the merit badge. This is reading to understand and to learn and hopefully teach as we eat some meat on this, okay? And then we want to kind of interpret the passage of its meaning as we meditate on it, and then we apply the passage. So there's one interpretation, one meaning, and various applications of how that gets applied, okay? So if we put this in context, I'm just reading out of an NIV here. It says, "I rejoice greatly that in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you have been concerned, but had no opportunity to show it. I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstance. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or want." And here's the verse: "I can do everything through him who gives me strength," or "I can do all this through him who gives me strength. So the context here, right, that this is it. It's obedience to God and service to others. The context here isn't that I'm going to be Michael Jordan of basketball if I want and try hard enough, that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. The context here is that no matter what I'm going through, I've learned to be content in this, that I can do all this. Well, what's this referring to? Well, it's talking about that he's learned to be content in every situation, whether he's fed or whether he's hungry, whether he has a little or whether he has a lot. Keep in mind, he's sitting in prison here and he's saying, I can handle all of this because of Christ. And so who's giving him strength. So it's really important to keep that in context, that again, it's not, man, I can do this through Christ who gives me strength. That sounds motivational, but the right context of it is that even in our suffering, even in the midst of our suffering, we can still have strength and that we can get through it. So hopefully that kind of gives you some understanding of where you're going to approach. So again, you want to look at that. Read through the entire book of Philippians in one sitting. Read it quickly. Who's Paul writing to? Why? How does this passage fit in the larger context of the book? Are there any reoccurring words within the book that give you clues of what's going on? And then we want to understand what the genre is. It's a prison epistle or letter. Generic conception, what does it mean, what's going on, and then try to make observations about that. Like I said last night that I typed out, that there's no secret knowledge when it comes to the Bible. There's been a lot of groups of people that have thought maybe there was secret knowledge. But for us, God has decided to be known in Scripture, in the Bible, through the Bible, and he's going to make it plain to us. And so while there are low-hanging fruit, there's low-hanging fruit for us to grab on. There's some fruit that's higher up in the tree that just takes a little more work to get to. So first, we're just talking about that context is king. You need to make sure that you're not just reading a Bible verse, but you're reading a paragraph. We will take things out of context every time. Our job is to place it back into the context of the original hearers, of what the author intended. And then through that, we can find meaning and application, various applications to the one meaning. And that truly is a God-honoring way to read Scripture. So hope this is helpful. Give me some feedback and let me know what you think. But love you guys. I'm looking forward to going deeper with you.